Only the Avatar can bring balance to the world. But which one of them is better? Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're comparing the carefree Aang and the tough as nails Korra. Think you know Nickelodeon? Click here to sign in with your Google or Facebook account and take the new trivia quiz on WatchMojo.com.
Okay, bye.
We're considering their abilities, relationships, and character arcs to decide who's the best Avatar.
But I can't take all the credit. Someone else taught me those moves.
Round 1. Backstory.
You and Aang must be separated. The Avatar will be sent away to the Eastern Air Temple to complete his training.
Born into the Air Nomad tribe, Aang was raised by peaceful monks at the Southern Air Temple, who taught him to value human life over everything else.
I fear that war may be upon us, young Avatar.
We need you, Aang.
But when he discovered his destiny, his life took a sudden turn. Saddened by how his friends now saw him, and scared of what other effects this role would have on his life, Aang ran from his responsibilities. Capitalizing on his disappearance, the Fire Nation initiated the devastating 100-Year War. Seeing how people were impacted by his mistake made him realize that his role was bigger than himself, and fueled him to fully embrace becoming the Avatar.
If you weren't here now, well, I guess I wouldn't be either. Thank you for saving my life, Avatar.
Korra's journey to embracing her role as the Avatar was more straightforward. As a member of the Water Tribe, Korra was taught the value of familial strength while growing up in the South Pole. Like many avatars before her, she received teachings from various masters on each element. She was also raised with protection from the White Lotus.
She's the Avatar, folks, playing in a pro-bending match.
She was so well protected, in fact, that she never even realized that there was an attempt made on her life by the Red Lotus when she was a child.
The Avatar has arrived early. It looks like we'll have to accelerate our plans.
Aang and Korra have contrasting personalities, but there's no doubt that Aang's upbringing and his choice to run away made for the more layered backstory. Since Korra craved the Avatar mantle from an early age, her backstory was more forthright, and therefore the less interesting of the two. Winner, Aang. Round 2. Powers. Both avatars were shown to perform impressive feats with each form of bending. Aang mastered airbending at a very young age, even inventing his signature air scooter. However, given that he had to stop the Fire Lord quickly, he only had a summer to learn the other 3.
So, like this?
He did have excellent teachers and was naturally gifted, which is why he was able to learn each element so quickly. But he would never be as comfortable with them as he was with airbending. Since he came from such a non-confrontational background, Aang often used his bending to avoid fights, rather than dealing with them head-on.
We're doing it!
But we have another problem.
Korra, on the other hand, loved to fight. She could bend 3 out of 4 elements at an incredibly early age.
Wow! Nice adjustment!
She would struggle with airbending for a long time, but eventually became as adept with it as she was with the other 3. Because of her natural skill and training, she could switch between bending styles in a fight at the drop of a hat.
That was a 2,000-year-old historical treasure.
This often led to trouble as she preferred to solve her problems with her fists rather than her words. But there were few enemies that could go up against her and come out victorious. She also learned metal bending, a skill Aang never learned despite being close friends with the person who invented it.
I'm not going to let you fuse with Unalaq. You're going right back in that prison.
While Aang had certain circumstances working against him, we can't deny who we'd rather have on our side during a fight. Each element eventually became as much a part of Korra as her native one. Winner, Korra. Round 3. Allies.
Hey, stomach, be quiet, alright? I'm trying to find us some food.
Even avatars need allies. Each of Aang's was completely unique.
Sokka and I, we're your family now.
Waterbender Katara was a fierce defender when the war-torn world became too much to handle. And her comedic older brother Sokka proved himself to be an expert strategist. Toph used her earthbending to see her environment, and taught Aang to do the same.
You did it! You're an earthbender.
One of the most emotionally complex character, however, was the firebender Zuko. Starting out as a villain, he had an incredible redemption arc that was helped along by his lovable Uncle Iroh.
And if we don't want the world to destroy itself, we need to replace it with an era of peace and kindness.
And let's not forget the memorable Momo and the irreplaceable Appa, whose connection with Aang couldn't be matched by anyone.
The key is being completely rooted, physically and mentally unmovable. Whoa!
Korra had a strong group of friends as well.
The Avatar needs to learn airbending. It is not optional.
Her relationship with her airbending master Tenzin was often strained, but they cherished their bond when it really mattered. Even more fraught was her relationship with Lin, daughter of Toph and Republic City's chief of police. A mutual respect would develop, but both were too hard-headed to call each other friend. Korra's closest friends were brothers Mako and Bolin. Firebender Mako was the brooding type, whereas Earthbender Bolin was the lovable goof. Both would make welcome allies.
It's been great having you at so many back-to-back practices, Korra.
Feels good to be back.
So would Asami, a non-bender but an excellent hand-to-hand combatant, pilot, and eventual love interest. Rounding out Korra's partners was her animal sidekick, the ferociously loyal polar bear dog, Naga.
Coming through! Heads up! Sorry, were you in town?
Neither of these avatars would have been able to accomplish what they did without their allies, but Aang's were much more dynamic characters. Each one not only brought unique skill sets, but personalities as well. Winner, Aang. Round 4, Enemies. Both avatars had some pretty despicable foes to face. Aang's mission was to end Fire Lord Ozai's rule and bring balance to the world. While Ozai was indeed powerful, his goal of ruling the world was a tad one-dimensional. However, it was his children who took center stage for much of the show. First, there was Zuko, the cast-out prince who would stop at nothing to regain his honor, but who eventually became one of Aang's strongest allies.
You rise with the moon. I rise with the sun.
His sister Azula, however, was one of the most formidable villains either Avatar would ever face. Her increasingly unhinged demeanor and penchant for violence brought fear to even the strongest of benders.
No lightning today? What's the matter? Afraid I'll redirect it?
I'll show you lightning!
Korra faced off against new villains each season, all with different motivations. First, there was the secret bloodbender, Amon, who sought to strip benders of their powers. Season 2 saw the return of Vaatu, a dark spirit who'd been sealed away by the first Avatar and freed by Korra's treacherous uncle.
You can't fight me and the poison.
Then there was the Red Lotus, an anarchist organization that wanted to destroy borders and monarchies. And finally, there was Kuvira, a metal-bending dictator who could have become the next Ozai.
All hail the Great Uniter!
Each villain had a different and long-lasting effect on Korra, such as when Vaatu destroyed her connection to past avatars, or when Red Lotus's poison left her lost and traumatized for 3 years.
You're alive.
I'm here for you. I'm never gonna let you go.
Both avatars had tremendous villains seeking their demise, but it was Korra who had to face the higher quantity and quality. Aang's villains simply sought world domination, but the goals of Korra's villains were often much more personal. Even Amon, who wanted to rule Republic City, had his goals tied to his emotionally abusive father. Winner, Korra. Round 5, Spiritual Prowess. Raised by monks in the Southern Air Temple, Aang was taught how to get in touch with his spiritual self from a young age by meditating. Later, Aang would be able to meditate into the spirit world, and did so for the first time without any guidance.
Now that was some waterbending.
Of course, the most powerful thing that mastering the spiritual side of the Avatar can unlock is the Avatar state. This comes from connecting with Rava, the light spirit that lives inside each reincarnation. Without training, Aang could normally only go into this state during the most dire of circumstances, but he would eventually learn to tap into it with ease.
I'm taking away your bending for good.
Korra's relationship with her spirituality is rocky to say the least. She had trouble excelling at meditation for a long time. However, once she got over that hurdle in Season 1, she could go into the Avatar state as easily as flicking on a switch. This doesn't mean that she's remained totally in touch with her spirituality, as she needed Janora's help to enter the spirit world in Season 2.
I don't know. The spiritual energy is historically strongest near the temple.
No offense, but I'm guessing the spirits have actually been to the spirit world, so I'm gonna follow them.
Losing Rava soon after would cause her to tap into her own spiritual self, unlocking a form that seemingly no other avatar had reached. Even so, she would still struggle to deal with spiritual problems in later seasons.
I think you should trust your instincts. There is nothing else I can teach you. You are the Avatar.
While Korra undoubtedly accomplished remarkable spiritual acts, Aang was always much more naturally aligned with the side of being the Avatar. Even though he sometimes didn't fully understand it, he always treated it with respect and sought to better himself. Winner, Aang. It looks like Aang just pulls ahead at 3-2.
Fun? We can't fight firebenders with fun.
You should try it sometime.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.